Hello, and welcome to the AI for All podcast. I'm Shauna Sprague,
And I'm Charlie Hilding.
and we're here today to tell you some automations and some things that are going to make your life easier using AI so that you can use that free time to do things that bring you joy.
Cool. So what are we learning about today?
So today we're going to talk about ChatGPT Vision, which I'm super excited about because I love the idea of taking cameras and photography and being able to integrate like visual images into my questions and ask questions about it and all that good stuff. So I've got some cool stuff to show you.
Yeah, I'm also into asking like what's in a specific picture.
Yeah.
Because as it turns out, vision is very useful.
Yeah, and I've found I keep coming up with new uses for it, but one of the ones I'll show you real quick right here is I found this. This is not my child's room. This is a room that I found on the internet, but it is a very messy room. Papers and stuff everywhere. Everybody would look at that, and so I want to ask ChatGPT Vision. I want to say, is this room messy? So what I want is my daughter to take a picture of her room, and is it clean or is it not? And it said, yes, this is cluttered. And I'm going to say, can you tell me how it would be better? And when I ask how it could be better, it's going to give me a list of things that she needs to do to make her room cleaner. So step by step, clean out and start by taking everything out of the room. Yeah. So, I don't know about you, but I argue with my child all the time about pick up, clean your room. It's an ongoing battle.
I
and
definitely
their
do.
version of clean and my version of clean is different.
Well, I refuse to, my one rule is that under your bed and in your closet is not storage unless it's neat.
Yeah. Yeah, mine started using those little laundry bins, and she was like, "Oh, I can just pile up like all my sweatshirts and stuff in there." I was like, "No, that's laundry only," because I end up washing those things again and again. So yeah, no, I think this is really cool. Another cool thing I learned to do with it is you can actually come up here and you can show it like a network closet. So I work a lot with network infrastructure, and when you're especially when you've got a lot of sites. So at my former employer, we had a lot of locations, and you can't always be on site. And so take a picture and they upload it. But my question was always somebody's always got to look at that picture, verify that the network is set up correct. But we can use AI now, this Vision, to look at that network setup and tell me if it's correct or not and, what I need to do. So I downloaded a picture from the internet of a very messy closet. And then I'm also going to say, what is wrong?
A very messy server closet?
A very messy server closet.
Okay. And so for everybody out there, a messy server closet is you've typically got a rack with a bunch of different infrastructure pieces in it, whether it's a firewall or some servers for stuff you do and all that kind of stuff. But there's a lot of networking that goes in there too. So switches, and a lot of times those are power over internet. And I've had the opportunity to work with people that love keeping neat closets, and so I learned to keep it straight from the beginning. But I've walked into closets before and gasped audibly at the mess that was in there.
Yes. I mean, dust is not the friend of electronics in general. It's a recipe for disaster. So is you'll see people with you're not supposed to bring drinks in there. You'll have people sit their coffee cup and accidentally spill it. And, liquid and electronics don't work well together either. So, I went through and I, posted this in ChatGPT 4, of course, and the image. I uploaded the image and I just asked it. And it said the current state of these cables are all tangled and disordered. It's at the risk of things being unplugging the wrong cable. The cables are hanging loose. There's, they're not tied together. I love that it gave me all the things that are wrong with it, and then it gave me steps on how it can be improved. So from a business standpoint, for me, if I were, in a contractor or even a construction, taking a picture of something and then automatically having that in the system, it both documents what you did that day, as well as let somebody know immediately. It can pop back a message and say, hey, that's not exactly what it should look like. It should be neater. So.
Well, that's a very specific application of Vision that I like. I definitely like that a lot, though. I've taken a different approach with it so far, in that what Google Lens is.
Yeah.
Microsoft has a Lens app too, but it looks at a picture, tries to tell you what's in the picture. Usually it requires things to be, to have words, or it doesn't get context at all. It just says is this object in here, or what is this object? And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. So I've been switching all of my requests like that to Vision specifically. And so I was on a hike this weekend with my daughter's Girl Scout troop. and we came across a specific flower, and there's a group of dads around it, just like, no, this is this flower. And like it was funny to watch, and then I just went over and took a picture of it, asked Vision like, what flower is this, and then it told me it was a chicory flower, and then you and I had the conversation just a bit ago, like, well, is that like chicory coffee? And so I had a follow-up question. All I did was like, how does the chicory flower relate to chicory coffee? And then it came in and basically said, or gave me the whole lowdown. So apparently chicory coffee is not really coffee. It's the roots of the chicory plant that are treated like a coffee bean. And in New Orleans, in the New Orleans area, it's still something that they actively add to the coffee for flavoring and stuff. And I had no idea.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing what you can learn. I mean, remember those days when we were younger, many years ago, when you just wondered things?
Yeah,
Or you had an encyclopedia, a physical book that you had to go like look it up.
And good luck.
Yeah, good luck finding a flower inside an encyclopedia.
Yeah, my favorite thing about it is, like, I like to argue, about certain types of things. Like if it's a metaphysical thing, we can argue all day long. But I hate arguing about things that we can factually find and know. Right. And so when the internet came out, it changed a whole bunch of that. But this Vision specifically is going to reduce the number of arguments I have by a great amount.
Yeah.
And I'm almost excited as excited about that as anything else, because I just don't have to wonder anymore. I just know.
Well, and, another example, like I see, I don't know about you, I used to have a screensaver that was all these beautiful pictures, and I'd be like, oh, where's that? Now you can actually upload that picture and I can say, where is this image from?
Oh, so you're saying our Microsoft screensavers?
Yeah, those Microsoft screensavers. And then you're like, oh, what was that? And then it goes away and then you can't get it back.
Well, even if you want to know where it is, you got to click. It's like,
you got to click that little thing.
Anyway, they got the clickbait title, and then you got to click on it, and then it opens up Edge, and then you got this whole thing where you're dealing with a browser you hate and all that kind of stuff, just to find out where the picture is.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely going to do that now too.
Yeah. I just uploaded a picture of the Cliffs of Moher, and it identified it correctly. So yeah, it's in County Clare, Ireland. So one of my favorite places.
Oh, that's cool. I haven't been there yet.
It's beautiful.
I'll have to go.
Yes, you can use your plugins to search,
like
plan your trip. Yeah, that we talked about, and then
I'll do that.
And your images. And so I think this is really cool. I also see a Big Brother application here where, like, maybe as your kids take selfies of themselves and post them on the internet if they're not where they're supposed to be.
Oh,
yeah. So my brain's already like gone to how could it be used, like.
How can it be used to track my child?
Yeah. Well, and I think of it more of as a security of what do I need to prepare my kid not to take not to post on the internet for predator reasons and things like that.
Yeah. Did we talk about that at all, or have we talked about that in general? Like from a safety perspective, like there's an e-sport right now.
Yeah.
That is
geo-tracking.
It's geo-tracking, but they call it geo-looking up or something like that. Anyways, it's just taking the background of an image and finding exactly where that person is. And so they have competitions over how fast you can do it, not if you can do it.
Yeah.
And so it's important to know for all the youngins out there that that's a possibility. But I wonder if this, like, how accurate, have you tried that yet?
I haven't tried that, but I guess we could probably find a picture on the internet and see what we could come up with.
We'll do that and report back.
Yeah, we'll do that. But for sure, I'm looking at for sure. I think I've seen those geo-tracking where they see a cup in the background from a restaurant and they're able to identify that cup is from this fast food place that's located here.
Yeah, I watched a really convincing TikTok not too long ago where a mother was talking to they do streaming and they do the competitions and stuff, but a mother sent a TikTok to the geocache person and was like, I need you to show my daughter that you know exactly where I am. And then he went through the whole process, and it's one of the coolest and scariest things that I think is going on right now. Yeah,
we stay away from social media.
Well, for sure.
Yeah.
For a 10-year-old, like I'm having the conversations with my 11-year-old right now, and I was just like, you're not getting social media proper until you're at least 15. So let's just get off of that.
Yeah, just let it go.
Yeah. On a safer note, though, I did use Vision to identify a knot that I'd tied. So I can tie a couple of knots, and a bowline knot looks like a loop with a couple extra wraparounds to make it to where it's a static loop. It's not a slip knot at all. And I gave it the picture because it looks like a slip knot, and it correctly identified it as a bowline knot.
That's
And so if
awesome.
you ever wonder what knot somebody's using, now you can look it up. And then if I wanted to, I could follow up with, well, how do you tie this?
Well, I have those questions all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, the Girl Scouts my daughter's in Girl Scouts, so they gave her that piece of rope. So I just sit there playing with it and stuff. And I was like, I wonder. And then it worked.
Toys for dads.
Mm-hmm. And I took a picture of a cat. Initially when I was playing with it, I took a picture of a cat and I said, explain everything in the picture. And it was just like, obviously there's a cat and it's in a house and all this other kind of stuff. But there was those hanging curtain dividers in a doorway. And I was like, what's that specific thing in the background that's the stringy thing? And that's what I said. And then it was like, that's a room divider. And it gave me,
Oh, wow.
it gave me the name, the descriptions, what it's used for. And then if I wanted to, it would show me where to go get it on the internet probably. Actually, that would be just the Bing thing, right?
Yeah, if you were trying to use the web there. Unfortunately, at this time, you cannot use, you have to decide when you're using the ChatGPT 4, do you want to use plugins, the web, or DALL-E 3, or the code analyzer, but you cannot use all of them together.
Yeah.
So you have to decide, and image is not available to, image is just in the general ChatGPT.
It's in the default one. Yeah. I got mixed up on that for a bit because I kept on looking for Vision, but it's just the default.
Yeah, it's a pretty nice little default they've added in there. And so at this time, they're not charging extra for that feature, which I think is fantastic.
So you're saying Vision's on 3.5 too?
No, not charging extra for the 4. So
okay.
right now, there's just you either have the free version or the paid version, and there's not in between. But soon, I think they'll probably break all this out at some point. That's my opinion.
The product is definitely maturing.
Yeah, for sure. Another use that I really like for this is my daughter's homework. So both, my daughter takes Mandarin, so Chinese, and when the Chinese homework comes home, I am useless. So being able to take a picture and saying, is this correct? Or, how does it need to be adjusted? Things like that are pretty awesome, as well as math. I haven't done longhand math in a really long time. So explain this math problem.
My son's into percentages now, and he had to convert, it gave a problem that's like, there's an item that's $80 and it's $12 off. What's the percentage off, basically? And so he did this math. It took him forever. I mean, relative to I had to be patient while he's doing this. And so it felt like forever. And then I was like, let me show you something. Because this is kind of math I do all the time. And I did 12 divided by 80, and it was 0.15. And it took me like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
And he dropped his book and walked away.
He's mad.
He's mad that he's having to do it the long way. But I explained to him, it's like, you got to learn this so you can do this and understand why it all works together.
Well, and the same is true for technology. I do worry that, with ChatGPT and things that spit out code and, all this stuff really simply, is that at some point, you do have to fix things that break or add things to it. And so that makes it more difficult. So I feel like you do need that base knowledge. So even though I grew up in a home without technology and had to learn really the hard way, without a lot of tools and things, I have a base knowledge that, a lot of people don't necessarily have. I can write a website in HTML in a Word doc.
Oh, yeah, you're fancy
in
like
Notepad.
That. Yeah, I could not do that.
So stuff like that, it was hard at the time, but I did learn a lot of skills that are very useful now because I can look at it and I can say, oh, I know it's wrong. So
yeah, I like that. If you're a technical person, having those skills facilitates any hallucinations that GPT may have, but that just goes in line with the people using AI and not the AI specifically.
Yeah.
Having said that, I don't know if this is the place to talk about it, but OpenAI did just change their impact statement to include general AI as well.
Yeah.
So they're trying to produce ethical and they have another couple of qualifier words, but essentially experts in different fields, but in a more general AI approach, which is neat. Also, the White House has just come out with a bunch of standards and stuff too, so we'll see how those collide.
Yeah, I haven't done a lot of reading on that, but I did hear about the new regulations and the things that came down recently.
Well, I think we're gonna do an episode of the Data 4s.
Okay,
on it
awesome.
Because it's good for people to know. Because some of it so far, I've done the high level pieces or the high level overview of it, and it's just it's more general. could you please do this, rather than this is the way it is.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a good approach, because right now, if we started putting limitations in place, we don't know if we're hurting ourselves or
Right.
not.
Yeah. I was gonna say it's moving too fast. Like anything, somebody will find a way to use it, in a bad way. Some others will find ways to use it in a good way. Like that's just life.
And then there's people who are delusional. Like I watched a video the other day of the CEO from Signal, and she was talking about how AI was wrong most of the time. It's not helpful, or talking about generative AI, and how useless it's going to be, and how in a year we're not even going to be talking about it anymore. And she said it was such a smug attitude that I immediately became a non-fan. But I had to resist. I had to resist getting on the internet to fight or to get into an argument, because I typically don't do that.
Yeah, I mean, I would wholeheartedly disagree that it's going to be gone in a year. It's definitely not going anywhere. I mean, it might be less talked about because it'll be more integrated into the tools that we're already using. So I think
That's a
that
good point.
it will be, you may not go out to ChatGPT. Maybe that'll be integrated into your Chrome or whatever it is that you're using, ServiceNow, your phones, all of that stuff. So I do think that that integration will happen in the same way that we became addicted to our smartphones, and we don't know when that happened. But it's true. For most people, if your phone broke or you lost it, you go get another one immediately. It's a priority.
Yeah.
And so, in the same way, AI integrations and things like that will be something that you have to have. It's not going to be a question of, can we live without it?
I like that. We talked about this briefly in the past, and I can't remember. We got it recorded, and I'm supposed to go check into it. What's going to be the catalyst for everybody rolling over? And I think I came up with the topic of hyper producers, making it to where you've got to catch up with them to be able to get paid what you want to get paid. And then you or Charlie said when it's on your phones.
Yeah.
When Siri is generative AI.
Yeah.
That's the new ball. It's a whole different ball game.
Yeah, I think it will be to do with the phones. Because when I look at the younger generation, I think, okay, that's where they are, all the time.
Sorry, I said SIRI out loud, so I apologize if that set off anybody's stuff.
Oh.
So as far as vision goes, though, is there anything else that you wanted to talk about?
No, I think that's it for right now. I mean, it's got you could play for days, load pictures, load diagrams, it's really cool as far as that, especially, like I said, if you want to know information. The other day I took a picture of a random cable in my junk drawer and said, "Where is it? What is this from?"
Oh, yeah.
So
that was actually the most practical application I've heard so far. So you identified what the cable was for.
Yes, because I knew it was probably for a toy that we no longer had, but I couldn't remember, and it was pink, so I had to assume it's probably from a toy.
Yeah.
But I took a picture of it, and it gave me some details about, it's probably from a toy that, this, and I'm like, okay. So I know we don't have any of those toys anymore, so I can get rid of it. I can comfortably throw things away, as opposed to letting it accumulate, because we do have quite a few of those cables in there.
Yeah, I'm definitely apprehensive with the funny ends. I don't want to get rid of it when I can't replace it.
It's like throwing away keys. Nobody ever throws away keys. And then eventually I'm like, what do these keys do? Well, thanks for joining us today. We are excited to show you the vision and everything that's capable of. If there's anything else that you can do with it that we haven't mentioned, we'd love to hear about it.
So do you have a deep dive on vision yet?
I do have a deep dive on vision. It's out there right now.
Okay. So as we always say, this is more about making you aware that these things exist. But if you want to go through from start to finish, from scratch to doing it, FemLogic AI on YouTube is exactly where to go. And it's also femlogicai.com.
Yes, it is.
And there you go. And if you want to hear more from Data for All, it's dataforall.io. We're also on the YouTubes at Data for All podcast. That's what it is.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us today, and thanks for being here, Charlie.
Absolutely.
All right. Have a great one.
Until next time.